an army of invisible soldiers goes rogue during the Transnistria War. In Moldova, an American soldier becomes separated from his team and enters a building alone. He is wearing hyperspectral imaging goggles that help him see in the dark. Inside the building, he finds a group of frozen dead bodies. As he goes deeper, he is surprised to encounter a see-through, human-like figure. Without the goggles, he cannot see it. He transmits the information to the base but gets killed by the invisible enemy. Meanwhile, in the United States, there is a doctor named Mark who works for an organization called DARPA. He has been working on a new invention that can break things apart using waves. After completing his invention, Mark demonstrates it to his superiors, who immediately suggest testing it on humans for potential use as a weapon. Mark is not happy about this but is forced to comply with the government's orders. The army instructs Mark to travel to Moldova to investigate issues with the goggles he invented. After some time, Mark arrives at an American base in Chisinau and meets General Orland and CIA officer Fran. Orland shows Mark a recording captured by the goggles, which shows the Spectre before the soldier's death. Mark notices something on the screen just before the Spectre appears. Orland explains that their security cameras have detected these occurrences multiple times over the past 3 weeks. Initially, they thought it was a technical problem, but the death of their best soldier suggests something else is happening. During the autopsy, they discovered that the internal organs of the dead were frozen, while their skin was burned and corroded. The CIA believes that there is some kind of technology that makes these specters invisible, but it doesn't explain how the soldier died. Mark wants to get a closer look at these specters before forming a theory, so he brings a more advanced camera called a hyperspectral camera. Orland agrees to let Mark go with a team of Delta Force soldiers to search for another team that went missing the previous day. The team includes Captain Cabrera, Mark's old friend, and Major Sessions, who is not happy about having a civilian with them. Later on, the group gathers to discuss the mission details. The other team disappeared in a 5-story apartment building, and contact with them was lost yesterday. They will be entering an area controlled by insurgents, so they need to be prepared to fight. If they encounter anything strange, they must eliminate it, but their main priority is to save any survivors and leave. Mark's role is to stay in the truck and monitor the soldiers' helmet cameras. The team reaches the building without any problems. As they go deeper inside, they find dead soldiers and insurgents under the same mysterious circumstances. Cabrera detects movement on the sensors, and they discover Sergeant Comstock hiding under a turn tub. Comstock tells them that the rest of his team is dead, and their bodies can be found on the next floor. He's also terrified of something he saw, claiming it's supernatural. The soldiers move to the next floor, and in one of the rooms, they encounter one of the specters. A soldier shoots at it, hitting every shot, but the specter remains unharmed and passes through the man, instantly killing him. The specter then leaves the room and kills the rest of the team. The soldiers have become dependent on grenades for attacking, but Cabrera orders them to retreat. The survivors help anyone who may be injured and use wires to climb out of a window. However, the ghostly figure continues to pursue them and kills anyone it can reach. Only a few soldiers manage to make it back to the truck, with the specter still chasing them. Mark seizes the opportunity to use the special camera to record as much as possible. Surprisingly, the specter appears to have a human-like shape and even a complete human face, which confuses Mark. Cabrera tries to fight the specter as well, but his efforts are in vain, and he is killed too. Due to his sacrifice, the remaining soldiers escape the building and board the vehicle to leave the area. While driving away, Mark attempts to ask Comstock about what he witnessed. Comstock reveals that he hid under the tub for several hours and did see the specter. However, before he can provide more details, the truck suddenly shakes and falls to the ground. They realize that they accidentally entered a mined area. Unfortunately, Comstock hits his head during the fall and dies, along with the drivers. The team starts discussing the events, finally accepting that what they encountered was not a product of technology but something supernatural. Mark describes the specter as having a human-like appearance, and its gaze indicated consciousness. However, they are still unsure about its true nature. The soldiers' goggles were destroyed in the crash, but Mark suggests using the hyperspectral camera to survey outside the building. They discover multiple specters attempting to reach them, but they are unable to cross a circle of iron filings surrounding the building. This circle acts as a barrier and seems to have been placed there intentionally by someone. Suddenly, they hear a noise coming from another room. They shoot at the door, causing the civilians inside to become frightened. To their surprise, it turns out to be a pair of innocent siblings. Suri and Bogdan cannot speak English, but Fran is able to communicate with them in their own language. They learn that the siblings have been left alone in the building. In that room, the soldiers also find a tall tower that transmits a strong signal. This signal can be heard by anyone within a 20-mile radius, including the enemy. Sessions points out that despite this risk, it is their only chance to survive. While the soldiers try to contact their base for help, Mark speaks to the siblings with Fran acting as an interpreter. Sari explains that her father was the one who created the protective barrier around the building. She believes that the specters they encountered are lost souls trapped between life and death, unable to find peace. Mark is curious to learn more about the father, so Sari leaves Bogdan with the soldiers while she guides Mark and Fran to the location. Sari hasn't yet told her brother the truth. Their father passed away while setting up the barrier, and Sari had to bring his body inside. Bogdan believes their father is away seeking help. Mark examines the body and discovers a necklace with a ceramic tile and a map of Masarov, a district near the river. Although Sari isn't sure how her father knew about the iron, she does know that the appearance of the specters began in Masarov. Sometime later, the soldiers receive a message from their base confirming that helicopters and tanks will be sent to pick them up at a nearby open plaza at dawn. The team starts debating whether this is a good idea, as they will be exposed without cover. However, Mark quickly devises a plan. Since there are plenty of iron filings in the factory, they can use them to create bombs that will effectively harm the specters. He also modifies the hyperspectral camera to function as a large searchlight, capable of revealing the specters on the streets. They share the instructions for the modification with the base, so the rescuers can also create searchlights and arrive safely. While everyone is busy working, Sari finally informs Bogdan about the truth and hands him their father's necklace. A little while later, they hear some noises from outside and use the newly created searchlight to investigate. They discover that the specters have climbed the neighboring building and are using the power lines to bypass the barrier without getting injured. The team quickly prepares to leave, and Sari shows them another exit at the back. However, the specters continue to pursue them. Mark directs the searchlight towards the specters, making them visible to everyone. The soldiers shoot at the specters using their new bullets filled with iron. While these bullets successfully damage the specters, the impact sometimes pushes the soldiers back too. To temporarily hold off the specters, the soldiers shoot additional bullets, creating an iron fog that obstructs their path. Following Sari's guidance, the team navigates through the fog and eventually reaches the open plaza. Seeking safety, the team takes refuge inside an abandoned bus. Mark realizes that the searchlight is running out of power, leaving them vulnerable to potential attacks. Their worries intensify as they hear an approaching noise. Luckily, it turns out to be the rescue tanks arriving to save them. The tanks come equipped with their own searchlights, which expose the specters hiding in nearby buildings. The tanks immediately open fire on the specters. In the rush to escape, the team hastily exits the bus, taking cover from falling debris. The new arrivals abandon the tanks and engage the specters with their conventional weapons, but tragically, they end up losing their lives. Notably, the specters attack the tanks as well, destroying the searchlights. However, they are unable to pass through the ceramic components, a detail Mark notices. The team searches for Bogdan but cannot find him. The boy has dropped his father's necklace and is searching for it himself. Suri attempts to reach him, but before she can, a specter passes through Bogdan. Mark assesses the situation and sadly confirms that it is too late. Fran comforts Sari as they grieve for Bogdan. The specters start gathering at the center of the area, preparing to strengthen their forces, just as helicopters arrive in time. Mark observes that the wind generated by the helicopter rotor makes it difficult for the specters to advance. He seizes all the iron grenades he has and smashes them on the ground. The wind carries the iron filings toward the specters, keeping them at bay while the team manages to escape. Once the helicopters take off, they realize they are being taken to a refugee bunker instead. Upon reaching the bunker, the guards immediately point their weapons at the team. However, Fran quickly communicates with them in their language, proving their identity, and they are allowed entry. Mark returns Suri her father's necklace, which he retrieved from Bogdan. He also inquires further about her father, but Suri only knows that he manufactured ceramic containers for the Masarov power plant, where the specters originated. At that moment, a loud thumping sound is heard outside. Surprisingly, it is not the enemy but Orland, who arrives with the few survivors from the attack on the base. They bring along as much equipment as they could gather. Orland informs them about the assault by invisible assailants and reveals that only 19 of them managed to survive. Due to the hasty escape, they were unable to contact their superiors for assistance, leaving them with no plan other than fortifying the bunker and waiting. Finally, all the pieces of the puzzle come together for Mark as he realizes the true nature of the specters. Comstock hid beneath the tub, which was made of a special material called ceramic. The specters couldn't touch the ceramic parts of the tanks either. They were hurt by iron, extremely cold to the point of causing death, and could pass through walls but not ceramic. All these characteristics indicate that they were a type of matter called Bose-Einstein condensate, which was predicted by Nath Bose and Albert Einstein. Creating such a state requires a lot of power, which explains why the specters originated from the Masarov power plant. It is clear that these specters were intentionally unleashed as a weapon by the enemy. However, if someone created them, it also means they can be defeated. Mark remembers an invention he had completed before arriving, which has the ability to attack the specters with powerful energy discharges. He suggests building multiple devices using the equipment they brought from the base and any electronics they can find in the bunker. The soldiers immediately start searching for useful pieces, and Mark focuses on assembling as many weapons as possible. They discover a robot they nicknamed Mechanical Rottweiler among the gear from the base, and they use it to install a new searchlight. They also study a city map, and with the help of information gathered by Fran from the locals, they devise a plan to safely fly to the power plant following the best route. After Orland delivers an inspiring speech, the team sets off for the power plant. With the Mechanical Rottweiler illuminating the power plant's platform, the first group of soldiers tests the new weapons against incoming specters. Mark's invention proves highly effective, and once they confirm the destruction of the initial wave of specters, the other two groups disembark from the helicopters as well. With every platform secured, the soldiers focus on battling the continuously incoming specters while the helicopter proceeds ahead to drop off Mark, Fran, and two guards inside the plant. Upon entering the plant, the group is immediately attacked by specters. To maximize their chances of success, they decide to split up. The soldiers remain to fight the specters, while Mark and Fran hurry to locate the main lab, aware that the fighters outside may not be able to hold on indefinitely. Along their path, they come across a heavily fortified door. With Fran's expertise in hacking, they manage to unlock it, granting them access to the main lab. Inside, they discover that all the scientists have been killed. X-ray images indicate that the scientists were scanning humans at a molecular level and using a special 3D printer to recreate them in the form of the specters. The presence of an assembly line confirms that this was indeed a weapon. Further exploration of the lab reveals numerous specters locked in cells. However, half of the cells are broken, suggesting that some accident occurred, causing a group of specters to escape, and the scientists were unable to contain them. They find a machine with an emergency shutdown procedure, but its instructions contain technical terms that Fran will need some time to translate. Outside, the soldiers realize that the new specters have the ability to reassemble themselves, making them extremely difficult to defeat. As a result, some soldiers are losing their lives. Fran manages to figure out a solution. They need to unlock all the ports and then pull a bracket to release the cables, which should simultaneously eliminate all the specters. Mark climbs on top of the machine while Fran shoots at the specters attempting to stop him. Outside, a powerful specter force starts forming, pushing the soldiers backward. One soldier takes a shot at the center of the whirlwind just as Mark successfully removes the cables and the bracket. The resulting shock wave knocks Mark off the machine and sends the soldiers flying. All the specters begin to disintegrate, and the soldiers witness the pain on their transparent faces as they vanish. Fran goes to check on Mark, and as they descend to a lower floor, they hear a noise coming from a concealed room. Inside, they are disturbed to discover preserved brains and peripheral nervous systems of real humans in capsules. It becomes clear that the scientists were not only scanning people, but also using them to create and control the specters. Although these humans are not fully alive, they are also not dead. Sensing their suffering, Mark begins disconnecting them, offering them a sense of peace. With the specters now gone, the American Army can arrange for the team's rescue and relocation to a new base. However, it is only a matter of days before the soldiers are sent on a new mission. The government wants them to retrieve the machines from the power plant to study and uncover their secrets through reverse engineering. Mark bids farewell to Orland and Fran, and sorry thanks in English before he boards a plane to return to the United States.